The Tinder Swindler, Simon Lviv, is charging $20,000 for nightclub appearances. So if you guys don't really know who the Tinder Swindler is, he's basically a guy who pretended to become basically this billionaire's son, and he pretty much practically ran a Ponzi scheme with the girls that he dated and basically stole their money from them, but in a weird way didn't steal their money from them because basically kind of like tricked them into just basically giving him money. Is like a very odd situation, but let's get right into it. So Tinder swindler Simon Lviv is charging $20,000 for nightclub appearances following the success of the Netflix show, revealing his trail of cons. The outlet reports that Lviv is entertaining offers from as close as Philly and Boston and as far as Germany and Mexico. Apparently, the five-figure payday includes a request for bottle service at the club, as well as a private jet, a five-star hotel suite, black SUV car service, and two full-time security guards. Lviv 31 couldn't be accused of squandering the momentum from the show. TMZ also reported this month that he was seen checking out Ferraris at a Tel Aviv luxury car dealership and had retained the services of Gina Rodriguez, who also reps Mama June, among others. Among his other purported projects are a dating show in which women compete for him and a podcast. Lviv's also on celebrity e-greeting service Cameo, where he charges $200 for individuals and $1,000 for business, and currently has a 4.9 rating on the site, with one satisfied fan claiming he knocked it out of the park with a recent appearance. So Lviv is accused of making millions conning women through Tinder and has been banned from dating apps after starring in the series. One of Lviv's victims, Pernilla Sloan, told Page Six exclusively in a recent interview that Lviv has a disorder. He doesn't feel empathy. He just generally doesn't care about anyone besides himself, she said of a recent interview in which Lviv denied he'd conned anyone. You can hear him talk even now in the interview. This has been very hard for me. It's just me, me, me. The alleged scammer was arrested in 2019 for using a forged passport and sentenced to 15 months in jail in Israel for previous fraud charges, being released after serving 5 months. Now, the interesting thing about this is that this kind of story basically goes to show people that, like, you could pretty much do anything, and if you have enough popularity, if there's enough eyes on you, you could probably make money from it, which is pretty crazy when you really think about it, right? This guy's going to make potentially millions of dollars over the next few years, right? Simply because he is popular from conning women out of their money, right? It's very interesting. Very, very interesting, right? That being said, another thing to really understand about this for any ladies or guys that are thinking about giving money to people that they're talking to or dating, don't for any reason, right? Now, if you want to give money to a person because of a gift, go ahead and do that. Never give money as like a loan to a family member or someone that you're potentially in a relationship with. Like, just don't ever do that, right? Because unless you are married, you should not be contributing financially to another person's life, right? Because that person could just walk away out of your life, right? There's no guarantee that they'll stay with you. Like, for example, you never want to like pay part of a mortgage for someone that you're dating with, right? You never want to pay somebody's student loans that you're dating with, right? Because there's no guarantee that you're just not going to be left on this side of the road, right? There's no guarantee that they're going to stick with you for the long term until you actually get married. And even then, there's still not that guarantee, but there's at least a little bit more protections available to you if you were to get married, right? And that goes both ways. Marriage can protect both parties in terms of like financial agreements because you're basically a joint entity, right? You are together, you are one. And people need to take that a little bit more seriously because even from like personal experience, listening to friends on like phone calls talk about their financial situations and how they might be potentially trying to find a house with someone that they're just dating, right? Sure, they might have dated for a while, maybe a couple years. It's not really smart to be trying to buy a house with someone that you're just dating, right? Because then that's probably going to end up leading to one of you, ended up getting pregnant or something. And now you got a kid out of wedlock. You are co owner of a property with someone that you are not in a relationship with, and if that like not in a marriage with, and if anything were to happen relationship wise, one person cheats or the other person ends up beating you or something like that crazy, you're kind of stuck in a really weird financial agreement with someone that you can't get away from, really, financially speaking. Whereas with marriage, divorce, bam, cut it down the middle or not in the middle, depending on the situation, and problem solved, right? And it also solves the problem if you were to involve like a prenup, right? Problem solved with that way too. And again, when it comes into like a prenup, you should really only be considering a prenup if there's like a vast discrepancy in terms of money imbalances, right? So, for example, if the Tinder Swindler was actually like the kid of a billionaire, right? Then he probably would, if he were to get married, end up actually having some sort of prenup before they got married to protect the assets that he would basically have access to by being a billionaire's kid, right? So that's something you always got to think about. Like it's a little bit more complicated than people really think. And again, don't give money to people that you're just talking to, right? Like even though you might be like trusting them, maybe you end up like thinking that, oh, they're going to pay me back or they are paying me back, so it's not that big of a deal because I know they're going to give me back money because they've have before, doesn't mean that they will in the future, right? That's the thing that people need to understand. Just because someone has done something in the past doesn't mean that they're going to do something in the future like what they did in the past. And there's really nothing protecting you unless you're married, right? And even then, there are still some risks that could pop up. So just be very careful with who you give your money to, especially in like a dating situation because there's no guarantee, right? You're basically friends. You are just two friends doing whoopee, right? Like that's basically what's happening because you're not married. If you want to learn how to get a debt, go to 14 bucks.